Hello! Today we're going to take you through the findings of our new report, Shaping Our Slice of Heaven, Regions of Opportunity, and discuss with our panel of experts the findings and the challenges that lay ahead. I'm Linda Meade and I lead Deloitte Access Economics here in New Zealand. Now before we meet our panellists, let's go through an overview of our report. This is the second report in our Shaping Our Slice of Heaven series. The idea behind the series is to promote debate and conversations across business, industry associations, government and the media on issues facing the New Zealand economy. Our aim is to shine a spotlight on the challenges we face as a country to improve our overall prosperity and well-being, and in doing so to ask some hard questions about what we are doing to rise to these challenges. In the first edition of the series, we looked at New Zealand through a lens focused on exports and developed a prosperity map for New Zealand which identified our national industries of opportunity. In this second report, we have moved away from a national view and taken a deep dive into our regions. We call this our Regions of Opportunity narrative. In economic terms, using our in-house CGE model, we have assessed the potential impact of increasing exports across 4 key industries and looked at how this varies across different regions. The aim behind this analysis is to understand how some key industries can see quite different outcomes for different regions depending on the characteristics of those regions. The key question we are asking is what role can different regions play in supporting our overall economic success, driven off export growth? Or to put it another way, how can our regions build a pathway to prosperity and what role do exports play in this picture? For this report, we picked a mix of 5 urban, provincial and mixed urban provincial regions to demonstrate the differences. All of our chosen industries are export industries. The reason for this is that increased global demand could play a major role in New Zealand's future economic growth. And it also provides a nice link back between this report and our earlier report. Using modelling and a framework which mapped fast-growing global industries against New Zealand's comparative advantage, we identified 5 industries that offer the best opportunities for us to maximise future economic prosperity. The vertical axis illustrates our projected global growth by industry over the next 20 years, and the size of each circle indicates the relative size of the industry within the New Zealand economy. Industries that appear higher on the map are expected to experience faster global growth over the period. The further to the right, the stronger New Zealand's comparative advantage. These industries are tourism, agribusiness, advanced manufacturing and food processing. You can see international education is in there too, but we haven't touched on that for our latest report as the data is either a bit complex or missing. And in case you're wondering what Stats NZ mean by the industry classification advanced manufacturing, the easiest way to think about this might be to use the term digital. Think wetter digital, for example. For this report, we wanted to know how our regions could benefit from increased export growth. To do so, we measured the economic impact of scenarios under which each industry's exports grow at a rate necessary to reach industry or government targets. Our in-house economic model simulates how the economy will respond and readjust to increased export growth over the period from 2019 to 2040. The model is sufficiently dynamic to estimate the impact across all regions in New Zealand, including any inter-regional trade. Okay. Let's take a look at the insights at a regional level from our modelling across the 5 regions and 4 industries. I'm going to start with Wellington, for no better reason than it's the city I live in. I'm not going to take you through all of the results for each region, since you can read those for yourself, but I will highlight some key ones. The model results for Wellington show that the potential economic impact of growth in tourism is particularly pronounced, with the regional economy projected to be 7% or $2.5 billion larger relative to regional GDP than would otherwise be the case. The Wellington region would also experience considerable economic impact from increased export growth in both food processing and advanced manufacturing. In terms of employment, advanced manufacturing provides the greatest opportunity for the Wellington region. These results may seem counterintuitive at first, but in fact the signs have been apparent for some time that Wellington has opportunities to leverage economic growth and add jobs outside of the public sector. In our view, Wellington must look to its other competitive advantages which leverage off the synergies between the film and creative, food and beverage and tourism sectors. But it's not all positive for Wellington. The city is still working through the consequences of the 2016 Kaikoura earthquake, which impacted a large number of commercial buildings across the CBD. This has resulted in constraints on business, accommodation, with impacts also extending to residential housing, particularly apartments. The problem of limited space to work and live is twofold. Not only is it a barrier to attracting and retaining talent, but also to job growth. Replacing and repairing infrastructure, especially commercial buildings, is therefore vital to enabling growth across all sectors. So what about Auckland? The model results for Auckland show that growth in all of these industries would result in a significant economic impact. As Auckland City is one of the key powerhouses of economic activity for the country, it would be surprising if our results reflected otherwise. The potential economic impact in food processing is particularly pronounced, with the regional economy projected to be $6.1 billion or 6% larger relative to regional GDP than would otherwise be the case. Auckland would also see a considerable economic benefit from enhanced tourism growth, and you can see tourism and food processing also offer substantial employment opportunities. We also found that the results reveal some interesting insights. For example, a focus on infrastructure must continue. It is perhaps worth re-emphasising that Auckland must follow through on infrastructure investment to ensure the region is not constrained by the lack of capacity and quality of investment and can in turn flourish. This includes capacity for residents and capacity for businesses. It means freeing up land in the right places for the right things at the right time, providing bulk infrastructure to service this land, and fast-tracking a transport system that can effectively move people and goods both within the city and region as well as elsewhere domestically and overseas. All are vital puzzle pieces to enable Auckland to function, let alone flourish. If we then turn to the region just down the road from Auckland, each of our industries of opportunity provide significant contributions to Waikato's future prosperity. Comparing the economic impact across our industries reveals some surprising insight. For example, the tourism industry offers almost 3 times as much potential economic benefit as agribusiness, Waikato's most renowned industry. This demonstrates the untapped potential in tourism for Waikato. Food processing, on the other hand, provides the greatest opportunity for Waikato in terms of employment. Our modelling shows an increase in regional employment of almost 3,000 jobs by 2040. The results also show the importance of sustainability and being prepared for future regulatory changes in the agribusiness sector. As an example, Waikato is currently subject to a land moratorium that affects how land can be used. A key challenge to capitalising on this opportunity is the ever-increasing need for farmers to respond to regulatory and market needs, including things like changing consumer preferences for reduced biological emissions. This will likely necessitate hard conversations around the transition to a lower emissions economy, the use of biotechnologies, access to water, and competition for land. Farmers are already responding to these requirements, and biological emissions have been decreasing since 2005. However, the harder question is how will Waikato farmers continue to do so sustainably over the longer term, particularly if they are competing internationally against farmers who are not subject to the same regulation. Next, Canterbury. Canterbury is of course very well known for its agriculture and food processing industries. It is therefore not surprising that our modelling shows food processing provides the greatest opportunity in terms of GDP growth. Advanced manufacturing, however, also provides significant opportunity for the region, with regional GDP potentially increasing by 900 million. Untapped potential in value-add food processing should be seen as a significant opportunity for the region, leveraging its agribusiness sector. Further consideration of how best to grow Canterbury's advanced manufacturing sector should take into account the region's natural resources and wealth of business services. A key question is, how can Canterbury diversify these sectors to increase its national and global share? Examples we highlight in the report include moving towards precision agribusiness, diversifying food processing, and expanding the electronic manufacturing hub in Canterbury. Moving finally on to the Hawke's Bay and Gisborne regions, which we've grouped together. As a small economy with some still emerging sectors, this region stands to gain the most in relative terms from increasing its exports across our industries of opportunity. For example, increasing tourism exports has the potential to make the economy nearly 1/10 larger between 2019 and 2040. Similarly, agribusiness and food processing offer substantial opportunity for regional growth, despite agribusiness already being the region's dominant industry. As the region's advanced manufacturing industry emerges, it is well placed to specialise in servicing its strongest agribusiness subsector, horticulture. Without the scale to do everything, the region should differentiate itself from other agri-tech hubs around the country, which primarily focus on dairy and meat. Instead, it could position itself as a place where new horticulture technologies are developed. For Gisborne, it is well known that there will be an increasing need for connectivity to enable it to flourish. While all of New Zealand's regions stand to benefit from key export industries such as tourism, both the opportunities and the benefits will not be evenly distributed. Some regions may be better placed investing in other industries that draw on their strengths, including existing business clusters, natural advantages, or logistics connectivity. In our view, it is not enough to develop regional economic development plans region by region without considering how the regions link together and where each region's competitive advantage lies. So where do we start to build a platform for economic success across all our regions? Some positive recent announcements include the establishment of the Climate Change Commission and the Infrastructure Commission, as well as progress towards an integrated wellbeing framework. These initiatives all drive a more coordinated approach across regions, encouraging more effective collaboration and accountability. Yet these initiatives are not enough. For our regions to thrive and take advantage of the opportunities presented to them, some important questions need to be addressed. For example, how do we get regions working together to support a more coordinated, within New Zealand, regional economic development strategy? How do we ensure that growth in Auckland, New Zealand's economic powerhouse, does not have negative impacts in shrinking the other regions? And as New Zealand transitions to a lower carbon economy, how can we ensure that the learnings from Taranaki's Just Transition program are shared and applied across other regions in New Zealand? On that note, let's get the discussion started with our panel. I'm excited to be joined by Lance Walker, CEO of Wellington NZ, previously Reader, Chris Roberts, CEO of Tourism Industry Aotearoa, and Mike Chapman, CEO of Horticulture New Zealand. I'm going to start talking by asking you, Lance, if you would give us your thoughts, first of all, on anything you wanted to about the report, but perhaps a bit more specifically, the economic opportunities for Wellington. You know, thinking about Wellington through that export lens that we've taken for the report. What are your perspectives on where the greatest opportunities lie for this region?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think all of the areas in the report are certainly areas that we would say are natural export growth areas for Wellington. I think one of the interesting challenges is the Wellington region is not in itself homogenous. There are different areas with different particular specialities. Probably the one that stood out for me was the advanced manufacturing, or the digital and tech. It's obviously a place where the whole Wellington region has been naturally strong. And as the report rightly points out, one of the highest proportion of digital workers and knowledge-intensive industries per capita in the country. And certainly, you know, we reflect on the heroes like the Xeros and the Trade Meades, but actually there are hundreds of companies in Wellington that are generating the majority of their export revenue growth outside of New Zealand, but headquartered here in Wellington, and many of which people have actually never heard of. And even reflecting on the screen industry, I think the likes of Weta. I mean, Weta is as much a tech company as it is a film and a screen company. So I think for me, that's certainly an area that we'd continue to see growing and building on our natural strength in that area.
Yeah, great. I mean, Chris, one of the things that comes through quite strongly in the report is for many of the regions, tourism is a really big untapped opportunity, even including some of the regions where you might not necessarily expect that to be the case, Waikato and the Hawke's Bay, for example. So for you, how do you see the opportunities from tourism coming through in that regional lens?
Well, 2/3 of the existing tourism spend is in the 4 gateway regions. So that's Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Queenstown. And it's been that way for a long time. Even though the government and industry both have a strong commitment to regional dispersal, it's really hard to shift. Your international visitors in particular, they want to do the golden routes, and getting them to come at different times and to go to different places is not easy. So for a region to attract those visitors, they really need to address the 5 A's. That's awareness. You need to know that there's something there to go and see. Access, there needs to be a way to get there, be it by road or air. The amenities and attractions that are going to attract the visitor have to be in place, and the attitudes of the local community have to be supportive of tourism, and all of those have to be in place. We shouldn't also forget domestic tourism. It's actually 60% of what happens in the visitor economy in New Zealand, and for many of those regions who've got international potential, for now, where they can concentrate is growing through the domestic visitor, for both the region and the businesses within that region. And certainly Hawke's Bay and Gisborne are in that camp, not high on the international visitor list at the moment, which is why there's so much potential, but they can grow their base through that domestic tourism.
Yeah, great. So Mike, I'd like to invite you to talk a little bit about the horticulture industry in particular, and how you see the opportunities through that food processing lens or through the agri-sector lens, whichever you prefer.
More of the agri-sector lens, because with horticulture we're fresh. There is a little bit of processing, but across the world where we make our money, fresh is what makes the money. But I think we're on the cusp of quite a major change in New Zealand, and that's sort of coming about with the adaptation and mitigation for climate change. Whether we like it or not, there's nothing we can do about it. And I think we're going to see some real land use changes, and with those land use changes, I don't think that'll be forestry. I know government is pushing into forestry. Forestry is worth about $3,000 a hectare and takes 30 years. With horticulture, we're talking around $135,000 a hectare every year. So if you've got the ability to do horticulture as opposed to forestry, it's a pretty easy decision. If you look back over the history of New Zealand and land development's always gone to the most high-paying option. But I think the real change we are going to see is that shift into horticulture. We've only got about 70,000 hectares in high-value horticulture. That's 135,000 a hectare. There are 14 million hectares out there. There's 1.7 million of dairy that is suitable in many cases to take some form of horticulture. We've been very sort of monocultural with just kiwi fruit, apples, but there's a whole range of things we now need to start exploring. Australia, for example, is just about to hit 1 billion with its almond industry. We can grow almonds too. We don't grow almonds. There's a whole area that we can really captivate on and be very successful with. So I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more horticulture. We're going to see traditional farming continue, but continue in mixed farming models. And with the opportunities overseas with the growing population, particularly the growing middle class in Asia, our value will continue. This year to June, we will grow by 15% in export value, whereas the rest of the agriculture sector will grow about 6.9%.
Right. Yeah, that's a very significant difference, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and that will continue, and it will be sustainable into the future. As Zespri is planting 700 new hectares of gold each year and increasing price.
Yeah, at the same time, which is pretty impressive.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Chris, I mean, obviously Tourism New Zealand does a great job at selling New Zealand to the world, and that tends to be at a national level, with particular tourist attractions coming through quite strongly. But how do we get the regions working together to support a more sort of within New Zealand view of how tourism is sold as a story?
Well, absolutely, we need a more coordinated approach than we have currently. And that means local governments, central government agencies and tourism businesses all working together. And what we need to see are regional destination management plans. We have really only just started the conversation in New Zealand about having destination management. We've had some very good organisations, Wellington NZ among them, done very well at being destination marketers. And we now need to really think about destination management, and that's getting all those people involved to identify what does that region, what do those local communities want from tourism, and how we deliver it. So that's what we're actually talking to government about right now, about having those very solid destination management plans in place. Some regions have started on that journey, but there's a lot more that could be done.
Great, yeah. Well, so it's a nice segue back to you, Lance, I think. Thinking about those economic development agencies, of which obviously you're the chief executive of one of them, how well do you think they are, collectively or individually, to support strategies for growth in our regions?
Yeah, look, I think that all the EDAs probably are challenged by working out the most effective way for them to intervene in ways that are going to actually make a tangible difference. And certainly for the metro EDAs, the likes of ourselves and AT and Christchurch and Z, particular challenges because of the scope of what we are engaged with. So I think that whole discussion around intervention strategy and how you intervene in ways that make an impact is really interesting. Clearly, like all parts of local government, we are challenged by funding and how we actually fund and stimulate economic growth. And it's always, I guess, one of those challenges for us in the sense that the tax benefits and tax revenue benefits that come from economic activity accrue to central government, but actually a lot of the stimulus for local or regional economic development comes from local government and the EDAs and so on. So it's an interesting dynamic that we have to struggle with. And that's why the PGF, I think, has been such a stimulus in those particular regions, because it has provided that investment capital. Now, all regions would like to be able to access that, and not all can. But I think it is a challenge. That's why things like bed taxes and visitor levies, which I'm sure Chris could talk far more eloquently on than me, is one of those interesting conversations. How do we actually fund growth at a regional and local level to not only address actually stimulating sectors and industries, but the infrastructural needs that we have to support that growth as well?
So I've heard some discussion of things like city deals is one idea, that that if the region or the city can do some good things to stimulate economic activity, that perhaps it gives back some of the revenue that the government generates from say GST. Is that something that you're exploring? Well,
I think all of those conversations around the different revenue models and funding models are things that we're interested in being engaged in. And again, I use the tourism one because it's quite topical right now. How do we, as you rightly pointed out in your report, tourism across the country is a huge growth area, but we are under strain, whether that's infrastructural or whether it's actually supporting new tourism product operators, regional dispersal and so on. So we have to find new ways to fund that growth, which is I think it's a really healthy conversation for us to be having. And certainly, Chris can touch on it better than me. But just the GST generated alone from international visitors coming in, actually reinvesting that back into the investment needs that we have.
Indeed, Mike, Auckland, obviously a huge economic powerhouse for the country, but it can have some sort of, perhaps unconsidered consequences sometimes for regions outside of Auckland. It can actually put pressures on other land use outside of Auckland. What's your views on how Auckland grows and the impacts that might have on the horticulture industry?
Well, the impact's pretty obvious with loss of land in Pukekohe, but I think the key with Auckland goes back to infrastructure. If the port moves, I think that'll be a dramatic change in Auckland. And if the port moves north, I think we'll have a real issue around, will Auckland be able to sustain that powerhouse? Because clearly then Tauranga will become the port of choice. And primary sector still makes up 75% of our mercantile exports, so it's still very critical. And it doesn't have to use Auckland for processing, it doesn't have to use Auckland for export, etc. And so a lot of those businesses, I think, would follow the port.
Right.
And
so do you think they would split sort of two ways? So if Northport became a kind of a second port to Ports of Auckland, but obviously Tauranga's there already.
Yes,
would they sort of go
Tauranga takes a lot, as you appreciate, from the Waikato, but I think that'd be quite a change. At the moment in Northland, for example, that's the fastest growing area for gold kiwi fruit. 69% of the plantings are going into Northland, so there will be quite a large export volume that could go out of Northport, but that'll be at the detriment to Auckland. So my unhappy prognosis for Auckland is it ain't good going forward. And when you look at the world, and it's a very small world now, if you can make something far better in New Zealand and at a competitive price in terms of manufacturing, you can survive. But buying stuff from overseas is so easy that the manufacturing base in Auckland, I think, is at risk, especially if they lose the port.
It's an interesting perspective. Chris, we talk about economic downturns, and I think for tourism it can be particularly pronounced with cycles around what's happening around the world for tourists. And a downturn in China can have quite a pronounced effect on tourism numbers, and quite quickly. So how do the regions respond to that? How can we make our regional economies more resilient to some of those international fluxes and changes that we can't control?
I think every region firstly needs to understand its unique visitor proposition. What is it that attracts people to that region, that makes it unique to other regions in New Zealand, other parts of the world? And Wellington is very good in that space. Not every region is as good as knowing what it is as a destination. And second, alongside that, they need to have a diversified portfolio, not reliant on one type of a visitor market or the other. As an example, the Nelson Tasman region, very popular with European visitors, but needs to do a lot better attracting Asian visitors. New Zealand as a whole is quite vulnerable because 50% of our international visitors come from Australia or China, two markets. Now, if you're a goods exporter and all your products went to just two markets, you'd be thinking that you're a little bit vulnerable. Well, that's the situation we are in tourism. So we need to look at those the other top 10 to 15 markets and keep trying to grow them as well to reduce our vulnerability. And again, domestic comes in as the saviour often. If there's a downturn with the international markets, which there always will be, we've gone through a long period of growth, but history shows us there will be downturns. It's the domestic market that comes back that we can turn to keep businesses open through those harder times, to provide that basis for the regions. Look back over the last 10 years, international tourism spend has had a CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of 3.5%. That's pretty healthy, but domestic spend has grown by 3.9% in the last decade. So, for a domestic contribution, again, really providing a solid base to what happens in the tourism sector.
Yeah. Okay, it's really interesting to see the comparison between those two. Lance, you talked before about how the EDAs have been, thinking differently. Perhaps the Provincial Growth Fund has perhaps stimulated some different conversations from what might have happened in the past. How well, though, do the EDAs work together with each other, and what could happen differently? What could be done differently, perhaps, to encourage more of a within New Zealand collaboration between EDAs?
Look, I can't speak for all the EDAs, but certainly, we work closely with the likes of AT and Christchurch and Z, probably because they are the most similar to us in terms of being a metro-based EDA. And I think EDANS generally has done a great job of bringing together all the economic development agencies and creating a more cohesive view around inclusive growth and so on. It's always an interesting challenge, I think, because we kind of have that competition thing going on in that our regions, in one sense, are competing at times, but at other times we take a much more New Zealand-link approach. Probably a good example is things like the screen industry. There will be times when ourselves and Queenstown or Auckland might all be trying to attract a particular international studio to make their movie in our particular region. But ultimately, as long as the movie is made here in New Zealand, that's the outcome that we actually want, rather than being made in somewhere else in the world. So we have this interesting dynamic between wanting to promote and stimulate, attract talent, retain talent, get businesses to start in our region, but we also have to take the bigger picture as well. So there's an interesting sort of dynamic going on. And I think we also have to acknowledge that parochialism needs to be put aside sometimes, and not all regions are the same. They have different strengths, and we need to accept that and play to those and not try and be the same. It's this regional distinctiveness argument that Chris made around tourism as well. We actually need to have a range of different offerings within the region. And probably the other point I'd make is that the regions aren't, particularly the big regions like Wellington, we've got very big differences between the city and perhaps what's happening in the Wairarapa. Yeah. So we have this, within our own region, we have these differences. So I think it's celebrate those, understand where we can work together, but ultimately it's about New Zealand Link at the end of the day.
And so if I bring it back to the report to sort of round us out for this discussion, so Mike, is there anything that stood out for you in the report of looking across the 5 different regions that we examined that was sort of interesting or maybe even a surprise for you?
The surprise was I didn't think your agribusiness analysis was going to be correct. I think we're going to find that it'll be a lot stronger, and particularly in the Gisborne, Hawke's Bay region, where there's a lot of growth, and there will continue to be a lot of growth. But the key there is, of course, water storage. Yeah. And if you don't have that key bit of infrastructure, the growth won't happen. So, but I thought that the report reflected the other regions pretty well, particularly Canterbury. Waikato is an interesting case, and as they get through their plan changes, that should then open up a lot for development. It was interesting that tourism came through really strongly in Waikato. That was something that I was a little bit stunned about, because you think dairy. Yep. But I guess dairy's had 2 decades of fantastic growth and is in the doldrums at the moment, and will sink a bit lower. But even so, it must be earning a lot of income out of the Waikato. Yeah. And I think we're going to see there's already a bit of diversification with dairy farms going into berries and kiwi fruit, etc., apples. I think we'll see a lot more of that in the Waikato, because with fruit you can have that land use change because it's got a different profile. It's where vegetable change is the issue in the Waikato. Right. Yeah. But yeah, overall I thought it was just didn't push my favourite topic, agribusiness, as hard as I thought it should. You may be correct, I just may be wrong and passionate about something that I can't see the wood from the trees. Not that I'm advocating planting trees. It's the fruit trees.
So Chris, I suppose if we round things out with coming back to tourism, it does come through quite strongly in our report, as we said earlier, and you've already mentioned about the potential downsides of sort of over-tourism, or the loss of social license perhaps that might happen in some parts of the country if tourism continues to grow at the rate it has. Can we continue to grow tourism at the sort of rates that are indicated in the report without hitting those capacity constraints?
I think the simple answer is yes. We can exceed those rates because on a world scale, New Zealand actually has quite a low visitor density. We have some hotspots where we see unusual levels of visitors from a New Zealand perspective, and we have to understand and acknowledge that for New Zealanders we get uncomfortable with seeing significant numbers at some of those locations. But on a world scale, we don't have a visitor issue, we have an infrastructure issue. And we need to get our infrastructure in place, and a lot of that infrastructure is local and mixed use infrastructure, which we've worked with Deloitte before on understanding that picture, and so we need to get that right. We need to have the investment in infrastructure, the sort of things that both the locals and the visitors use, and if we don't have that investment, then both the locals and the visitors suffer. And part of that comes back to what Lance was referring to is how do we ensure there's a better balance between the benefits and the costs. There's been a lot of benefits from the tourism boom of the last 5 years, but certainly at a regional level, at a local government level, they feel they've borne a lot of costs and not seen as many benefits. And whatever the funding redistribution system is, there has to be one in our view, and I think LGNZ and others share that view. Something has to change. It can't keep just filling, when an industry is successful, it can't just keep filling the government's coffers when the pressures are happening at a regional level. So that's a real big, and we've got a proposal out there that you could use GST to do that. Other people have got different ideas, but something has to happen in that conversation to ensure that the regions actually get the ability to deliver on the growth potential that they have.
Thank you so much for the conversation today and for coming along and joining our panel. I really appreciate it. And that's it for today, I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. That concludes our panel discussion on the second edition of our Shaping Our Slice of Heaven series. You can read the full report online at deloitte.co.nz. Do get in touch if you'd like to know more from myself and the Deloitte Access Economics team. We hope it provides you with insights on how we can start to recognise and build our regional differences across New Zealand for a more prosperous future for all.